Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Contractor Evolution. This is your host, Benji. My guest on the show today is Matt Parks, VP of Business Development at 5 Points Roofing in Franklin, Tennessee, and the winner of Breakthrough Academy's Leader of the Year Award in 2023. In this episode, he shares his unconventional approach to sales and marketing, his holistic and human-centered philosophy on leadership, and how he dealt with intense personal tragedy as an entrepreneur. We all have a lot to learn from Matt. I really hope you enjoy this one.
You're watching Contractor Evolution, where we unpack the systems, tactics, and skills you need to take your fast-growing contracting business to the next level.
You're here to learn what it takes to scale up, work less, and increase profitability. You've come to the right place.
Stay tuned to learn what separates the new breed of contractor from the old school, and welcome to your ultimate guide on the business of contracting.
Matt Parks, my friend from Tennessee, how are you doing? Welcome to the podcast.
What's up, brother, man? It's been too long. Last time I saw you was Winter Summit, and I thought you were supposed to come back up here and go to Broadway drinking with me. I'm still waiting on that.
It's in the works. It's in the works.
Yeah.
So it was Winter Summit, and at that event, you won Leader of the Year last year, and I thought it'd be really fun to have you on and kind of talk about a few things. Like you've got, there's a whole bunch of sort of tactical and interesting stuff you're doing in your business at 5 Points. You have an amazing story yourself. And so this is going to be a free-flowing conversation where we get to pick the brain of the 2023 Leader of the Year. So I think we'll start. Listen, I think we should start with this. You have a really atypical, non-traditional path to being like the owner and CEO of a big and growing roofing company. This is certainly not usual. So for the context of the listeners, why don't you just lay out kind of how you got here?
Yeah, man. So it was a wild journey. And first, I'll say, I'm actually not the owner CEO now. Right now, I'm the vice president of business development and marketing. So I handle all of the behind the scenes stuff that is not directly related to production. However, my business partner, who I call my business partner, Logan, brought me into the company after consulting with him for about 10 years. He called me, I'll never forget it, in 2011 and was like, hey, man, I've got your name from somebody. I need somebody to help me out with my business. I've got this roofing company I just started. Can you kind of help me with my website marketing and some of the like behind the scenes digital marketing stuff? And I was like, yeah, absolutely. So fast forward 10 years later, the phone rings one more time and he says, hey, man, I'm ready to take a step out. What had happened? He had broken his leg pretty severely and was a little concerned that some of the business functions were starting to dwindle a little bit, and he was not able to physically be in the office anymore. And he was like, "Hey, man," he's like, "I'll be honest with you. There's nobody else I trust to do this right now, to do the job." He's like, "I think you've got the skill set to do it. Do you want to come in and run a roofing company?" And I looked at him and I was like, "Hell no." Like, man, I'm a consultant. Like, I've had my own gig for 15 years. And he was like, just sit down and talk with me. And I was like, all right. So we went in and talked a little bit about numbers. And he explained to me in full that the company doesn't really function like a contractor. It functions more like a marketing company, if you will. Granted, we do a lot of business and we build a lot of roofs and we do a lot of, gutters and exterior stuff, but we don't function like a typical contractor because we're basically all subcontractors. And yeah, so I was like, this sounds interesting. I was like, all right. Let's sit down and give it a shot. No experience, no real people management experience, man. I had been consulting for 15 years, telling people what to do, and they just did it. And now I'm like, all right, I've got to actually manage some people here. So, yeah, it was just a kind of atypical route into contracting from marketing and finance to this.
What can you say more about the type of consulting you were doing and really where your subject matter expertise lied before you dove headfirst into this?
Yeah, man. So, back in the day when I first moved back to Nashville, I was living in Florida for about 5 years, and had a business down there. Sold it and brought it back. Brought My mom lived here. I was like, I'm going to come back home. I was 23 years old, and I'd gotten a little side gig at a printing company doing some like graphic design and marketing style work just to kill some time. And I had a couple contractors that were in water damage, fire damage, local, that were looking for help in marketing and digital marketing, ads, stuff like that. It was like right at the time when Google was like really starting to become famous, and just gained over 10, 15 years of experience of learning how these digital platforms work, learning how to talk to people, how to get in front of people. And so, yeah, my whole consulting, career was based on, helping people generate new leads for business, helping their sales team be active, and close more deals, and helping communicate their brand reason for being to their client base. So yeah, that's it. All stemmed from a majority of digital marketing. Now, down the road, I did a lot more stuff, finance and stuff like that, but that's where it all started.
Okay, I've got some questions about how you guys do sales and how you've structured your sales org. But before, let's talk wardrobe, okay, Matt? So
Yeah, man.
outfit today is from Fitzgerald Custom Homes, owned by Tom Fitzgerald. Here's the note from him, the message from him. You were texting this morning. We're a residential remodeling and new home general contractor in Cape Cod, Massachusetts. They've been a member for just under 2 years. He says, I came in at about 2.5 million in revenue per year, and we're looking at doing 3.8 this year, so roughly a 50% increase. Granted, I never knew my numbers too well before BTA. The biggest thing for me with Breakthrough Academy is the open collaboration with the other members. In my first blueprint course, Coach Ian asked the room about something financial, and it blew me away that all were forthcoming, open, and honest with their numbers. Also, removing the "that won't work here" head trash and the killer Canadian accents, obviously. So those are some highlights from Tom. But I got a note here. I got to read this to you. This is really good. It's handwritten. Dear Mr. Benji, I hope these items find you well. Ever since I was in 3rd grade, it has been my dream to get my apparel worn on a podcast. When I heard the announcement, I knew it was fate. We have already started plans for a parade and could possibly be naming the lunchroom after the episode. Not sure if you are aware, but wearing this shirt means 7 more tradesmen are born in that period. I know this responsibility is not for mere mortals, but with the full backing of the Cape Cod government, you should be covered. It may not have the nice hair of Duncan or the Celtic accent of Lee, but I'm sure you have a spot for a kid from Boston. Sincerely, Tom Fitzgerald. P.S. Long flight. I needed something to do. Thank you for the note, Tom. Thank you for the outfit. If you want to check out Breakthrough Academy and be in a community with other 600 plus other contractors like Tom, like Matt, you click the link below. You can find out all the information on us. We systemize contracting businesses for growth, and I think we've gotten pretty good at it. So that's it on wardrobe this week. Appreciate you, Tom. And Matt, can I pick your brain on some sales stuff?
Oh, dude, I love it.
You get already successful sales reps who I think are selling, I don't know, 3 million, 4 million, $5 million a year already to go out and knock doors also. It's pretty unheard of. I'm wondering how you guys do that and why you guys do that.
Have you ever heard of lead greed?
I'm assuming it's akin to drunk on leads, which is another term I like.
Just drunk on leads. It's when the leads are just full in the pipe, and they're drinking them through a fire hose the minute they turn off, whether it be weather or whether it be just seasonality. Everything they remembered about how to actually market, how to network, how to get in front of the right people, it all goes away. So you gotta keep the hunger there a little bit. And it's really critical for them to understand that they have a responsibility, and we build this into our employment agreements. They have a responsibility every year to generate 50% of the amount of leads that we generate for them. So if, for instance, we supply them with 10 leads in a week, they're responsible in their employment agreement to generate 10 leads a week. So it keeps them up and it keeps them going. It keeps them remembering about their referrals and the relationships they've built with their clients. And again, it keeps them hungry.
So, but how do you, I mean, that sounds at least like a tough sales pitch to a really high quality rep. Like you can picture, a good salesperson turning their nose up at that, saying that sounds like a bunch of extra work. I'm just a closer. I don't want to get my hands dirty. So there's a I don't know, a leadership piece or a persuasion piece or something that you guys are doing through the way that you communicate this or the culture of the team that's sort of built around this that makes it actually viable. Because it's like, yeah, it sounds great on paper, Matt, but like who's going to go for it?
Absolutely, man. So one of the biggest things that I believe in our culture that we've really started to try to instill in basically all of our employees is the fact that we're not competitive against each other. When whether it's sports or whatever it is, if you're a competitor, nobody wants to help you. Nobody wants to go out there and lift you up and help you run across the finish line. But when you're all fighting for the same reason why, you're all pulling the same direction. You want to help each other. If one rep is too busy in a day and can't go get their drone photos on a roof, they want to go help the other rep because they know they're going to do it for them as well. So a lot of that really revolves around the family culture that is built in the organization. And that was here before I even got here, was this culture of we're all family. We're all in it together. We treat everybody like family, and it all goes to our reason for why we exist as an organization. But it's having that culture of we're not competing against each other, and we're not competing. We don't even have any competitors that I know of. I don't know who they are. You know why? Because nobody wants to help your competitors. And that's one of the best things I love about BTA is that I can walk into a room of 800 roofers and I don't look at any single one of them as a competitor. I don't care if they're 5 miles down the street or 1,000 miles away up in Vancouver. We're all in it together.
Hey everyone, vision without execution is hallucination. So if you have grand plans for the future, but your team just doesn't seem to get it, honestly, the problem might be you. But the good news is we have built a strategic planning tool to help clarify your vision and rally your team around it. You can download it using the link in the description and start firing on all cylinders today. You've also done something I think unique with your comp and the way that you even recruit and hire and onboard salespeople. You guys are not the typical sort of burn and turn, 100% commission, eat or be eaten type place. You've taken a different approach to this, and I wonder if you can just kind of lay out the design of that and maybe share some thoughts on why you've gone that way.
Absolutely. So comp for our typical sales structure is for the first 6 months of their employment, they're essentially paid a salary. We pay our reps here essentially $60,000 over a year. So we break that into, for the first 6 months, $30,000. So we say over the next 6 months, this is going to be your ramp up, your time to build, really build your pipe. This is going to be your time to train, go on ride-alongs with the other reps, build your rapport internally. We pay them that salary for that time. And then once they cross that 6 month threshold, or their sales threshold, they switch to a full commission against a draw. So we still pay them weekly, basically a little over $1,000 a week to so we can handle benefits administration and dental, health insurance, all that stuff.
Why did you decide to take that approach to this though? Because that's not what a typical sales rep for a roofing business. That's not how most would be paid.
Yeah. So what I found out when I first came in, hiring people with a lot of experience on the sales side tends to net you a lot of bad results because they come in with all their bad habits. That you have to essentially retrain them from scratch anyways, because they got to do they got to learn the processes that the company has. They got to, again, build the internal rapport. So instead of doing that, we bring people brand new to the roofing industry in, but that are really good salespeople. Very professional. I'm talking people that come from pharmaceutical sales, that come from, anything where you're essentially having to present yourself in front of somebody and present your product, and your company. We bring them in from all walks of life, but kind of stay away from other roofers. Like I said, it just kind of, we've never had really good results with that, but we've had excellent results with people that have no idea anything that's even on a roof. So weird, but it's true.
So Matt, I want to get your take on this. What is your philosophy when it comes to sales teams, sales people, keeping them motivated especially in a changing market? I don't know if you guys are experiencing any dips in lead flow or things are feeling a little bit harder than they were a year or two ago. Perhaps not, but still the question remains, like, how do you keep that team firing on all cylinders, especially when they need to?
Yeah, man, that's a really, really tough question because, we've all experienced it. We've all experienced these dips in lead flow. We saw it at the end of last year pretty significantly. It seemed like the lead flow pipe just turned off. There was not one company lead coming in. Nobody needed a roof. You could go out and door knock and just get your the door slammed in your face left and right, and nothing was working. So we really started to implement some processes internally to, when we were on an inspection, you've got to go and do the drone door knocking technique like you and I talked about. We can go into that here in a minute, and really show them that there's still potential out there. It's tough to do, and you're not, especially when you get such a low lead volume, you're going to likely lose people. But once everybody sees that it's actually still there, you just got to dig a little bit deeper. That's when they get really motivated to get out and find it on their own.
I'm curious about this drone door knocking tactic. What is this?
Yeah, man. So we started implementing this about 2 years ago when, again, lead flow just kind of turned off. And no matter what we could do, no matter how many ads we ran, no matter how little we were or how much we were, posting on our website and social media, no leads. So we were like, all right, how are we going to do this? And how are we going to incentivize these guys to get out and knock doors? Well, we implemented all drone technology about a little over 2-3 years ago. And basically what we have set up is when one of the reps goes to an inspection, they go to the whole 6-pack right around that inspection with the drone in hand, just knocking on the door, knock, knock, hey, I just want to let you know I'm flying the drone. If it bothers your dog, I'm super sorry. Your neighbor's getting a roof inspection. Don't want you to worry about it. Please don't shoot it down. We've actually had a guy come out with a shotgun. Just don't shoot it down. And
you are in Tennessee, to be fair.
Yeah, we are. We are. That's true. But anyway, so knock the doors around, show them the drone. And as soon as you walk out, be like, oh, wait, by the way, I'm flying it. It'll take 5 minutes. I don't even have to see you again. I could fly it around your house right here. I can give you or email you a report. You don't even have to talk to me if you don't want to talk to me. And guess what? That opens all 6 of those doors because they're like, you're giving me something for free. I don't even have to talk to you. You don't have to put a sales pitch in front of me. I'm actually getting a good condition report of what's going on with my roof right now. And yeah, it's not a high pressure, high pitch kitchen table sales pitch.
Mm-hmm. So the hit rate on that, when that offer is made that in that casual tone of voice and it's kind of done in a very, hey, by the way, fashion, are you landing are you getting a yes to more than 50% of those?
I'd say, yeah, from the reps, if you do 6 doors, you'll get 2 or 3, out of that. So 40 to 50% will say, yeah, because it's easy. It's 5 minutes. I don't even have to do anything.
Yeah. That's awesome. That sounds like a super effective little add-on there, and a great opener. One of the things I'm curious about, if just to move off of sales and kind of talk a little bit about marketing for a second. One thing that I've heard you talk about a bunch is the way that you anchor all of your brand communications around your why. And I think that sounds sort of, at the surface, it might sound like a fluff piece thing, but there's actually something very important here that you guys do, and it leads to results. So talk a little bit about anchoring brand communications around your deeper why.
Yeah, man. This is something that I became extremely passionate about maybe 2 years ago. I started really diving into this why of brand communication, if you will. Started saying like, okay, well, why do people choose one brand or another when they could be exactly the same thing? One could be even better than the other. The other one's more expensive. Why do they choose that? And what you have to look at, and this is actually a line out of Simon Sinek's book, Start With Why, is the whole reason for why your organization exists is going to attract the people that you want around it. So if your organization or yourself, you don't know why you exist, then you're always going to have to play the game of price. You're always going to have to play the game of features and services. You're never going to get the loyal customers that are just going to want to do business with you because they believe in the same things and the same reason that you believe in. So the why is huge. I highly recommend the book Start With Why to everybody I meet. I make my sales reps read it. I make, everybody that comes into the organization, I want them to really, truly understand what our why is, so they can communicate it to our potential customers and make the customers that we want to be our customers, our customers.
What is your guys' why at 5 Points Roofing, and how have you tangibly done exactly that? Maybe you can give me a few examples of how that's being implemented or rolled out.
Yeah, absolutely. So probably 2 years ago, we had a professional videographer come into the office, and they were doing a little shoot on basically for our project managers for internal training purposes. At that point, the producer wanted to do sit down interviews with everybody on the leadership team. So me, Logan, who's the main owner, and Mac Hughes, who it was his father, and then Jennifer, who is and Matt Wilson, who are kind of in production and admin departments. So they filmed a video with Logan, and this was right when I was getting super passionate about the why thing. They filmed the video with Logan, and I'll never forget it. In that video, he said the reason he started the company was because there was this little old lady that couldn't afford to get her roof repaired, and they were doing a remodel on her home, and she couldn't afford to do the extra that she needed to do, which was for the roof. And there was actually a ton of storm damage to it, a bunch of wind damage, a bunch of hail damage. Well, he set aside his point to go out of his way and help this lady ensure that roof was taken care of by her insurance, because it was a valid loss. And he said, all I wanted to focus on was helping this lady. And if I watched that video, that interview, no less than like 15 times over and over and over again. And it made me realize that's the reason I'm here, is because I believe the same thing he believes. And that really started to make me realize that the power of the why is so strong, because it's going to attract the people you want to be around you, and the people with the same beliefs and the same thought processes. And that all goes into your customer base. You want those same people, because they're going to go over the law, out of the way to pay you more money, even though your service may not be as good as the next guy down the road or whatever they were offered by somebody else. It really just kind of, I don't know, man. It's the why is hard to explain, because it's not processed in a part of your brain that builds words. It's processed in the feeling part of your brain, the gut part of your brain, you know?
Do you try to make statements like in the copy that's written on your website, or in the words that go on the brochure, or in the caption that you make an Instagram post out of? Or are you trying to sort of express that belief in different ways, or that worldview in different ways? And what does that sound like? What does that look like?
Totally. A lot of the communication that we put in any of our brand materials, whether it be website, printed materials, social media, whatever it is, it all revolves around family. At the end of the day, this is a family company. Like, every single person in our organization, they may not have the last name Hughes, but we are all part of a extremely tight-knit family that would go out of our ways to do anything and everything for each other. And we communicate that to our homeowners, because we want to let our homeowners and our clients and our colleagues and vendors know that we're going to do whatever it takes, no matter what, to go out of the way to do something for you, like you were my brother or father or sister or whoever it is. So in all of our marketing material, you look on the website, it's, we are Franklin is like the big prime word on it. And it's like, we are this community. We're not just a roofer. We're going out of our way to change the reputation of the contracting industry by being extremely transparent and being extremely honest on what's needed and what's not. There's a lot of verbiage you can use, but at the end of the day, you have to believe it. Like it has to come from the person in charge. It can't come from somebody else that's trying to step into a different role. It has to come from the person that started the company. And I'm a firm believer in that. If that message of why the company was started is not clear to every single person in the organization, is not clear to every single customer, and is not clear to every single person you do business with, you're going to battle, again, the price war, and you're going to battle the product war.
You won the Leader of the Year award at our Winter Summit this year, and have been sort of recognized as just an exemplary leader in the Breakthrough Academy universe. Talk to me a little bit about your leadership philosophy and how you do the job that you do of it.
Yeah, man. So to be honest with you, it came as quite a surprise. I think I'd only been a member with BTA for a little over a year and a half. There was a great deal of implementation that went in to I believe winning that. And there was also a great deal of understanding people. And it took me some time, like I said, coming from being essentially a sole consultant to, managing a team of 8 sales reps and a team of 5 admin people. It's a huge change. So for me, I started to realize, and a lot of this ties into some of the personal things I had in my life in 2022. But I started to realize that time is something that if you give it, you can't ever get it back, no matter what you do. If you give your time to somebody or something, no matter what you try, you'll never get it back. Time's always going to move forward, and that's the way it is. And my belief is that if I can give every single piece of everything that I am and my time to somebody else, that it's not going to go unnoticed.
Mm.
And those people are going to be inspired to follow you and do the exact same thing that you do. So yeah, realizing that the passage of time it's finite, man.
Mm-hmm.
It's we all live and die,
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm. What you spoke earlier about, like, looking for people, looking for non experienced salespeople, but more generally, when it comes to team building, what do you look for in the personnel that you attract and bring on to the team at 5 Points Roofing? What's sort of like your decision-making matrix, or just give us some thoughts on how you've done such a great job of building a culture there?
Well, man, a lot of it I attribute to BTA, to be honest with you. The building out your ideal candidate profile was huge for us. Figuring out exactly who you want to work for you it's critical to success in recruiting and hiring. Where a lot of it stems, and I'll go back to it 50 times, it starts, they have to believe the same things you believe. They have to believe in your why. If they don't, then it's not going to be a good fit. So when you build out your ideal candidate profile and know, like, hey, I need these traits and I need these people to have these values, and they need to align directly with our company's core values. That's super, super important. And for us, it's family values is a huge, huge importance. So when we look for people with those strong family values, the ones that, either have families and children and want to spend a lot of time with their kids, and they're not just workaholics, and or whatever it is. It all ends up tying back to the family. So because that's how our organization believes, and how I believe, and Logan and Mac and Matt, and how we all believe, when we hire people, hiring for that is a non-negotiable.
You're known as a really strong implementer. I talk to Braden about this all the time. You seem to be quite good at getting systems like sort of designed, thought through, implemented, iterated, and really codified into a business. And this is something that a lot of listeners struggle with. I suspect it comes from your background and some of the consulting that you did before this. But if you were at like a BTA event, a summit, let's say, and someone was asking you for advice on how do I get systems in place faster? How do I do it in such a way that they last longer? I need help building up my implementation muscle as an entrepreneur. Do you have two or three pieces of advice for business owners in that situation?
Yeah, man. When it comes to implementation, one of the most critical things that you really need to do, especially in a smaller business as a contractor, is get buy-in from every single person involved that it's even going to remotely affect. If you're implementing a new system or new technology or company cam or something like that, if you don't have full buy-in from everybody, you'll never get the accountability that you need out of it. Now that to get that, you got to know that you're not only implementing a new piece of technology or system, you are essentially selling it internally. So you got to know who you're talking to. You got to know how you're going to present the technology, how you're going to, show them that it works, and, prove, especially with people. We were talking briefly about the disc profiles, like people on the high C and S spectrum that don't like change or don't like, anything. If you've got those people that are going to be using that system, you better figure out a way to present it to them in a way that they know that, hey, this isn't going to be as hard as it seems.
So you're talking about the persuasive piece and really like selling a vision for why this is going to make their life easier. Is there anything else that you found in terms of just the functional implementation, whether that's building an implementation plan or working through a critical path or
Totally.
dedicating an owner or a small like task force on the team to help get it across the finish line? Anything else that just helps with the actual the muscle needed to get
Yep.
systems bolted onto a business? Because I think that's the real hard part. Everything sounds easy when you're in a demo with a software provider, or looks easy when you watch a YouTube video, and then in reality it's a lot more tricky. So what have you found useful there?
Yeah, dude, just like to go right on your point of like critical paths, man. Get yourself, if you find in your organization that you're needing to implement a bunch of new things, but you don't really have the full project map of like exactly how this project is going to flow, and every single critical item that needs to be completed to get the next step done, get something like Monday.com. I'm a big proponent of a basically a project management software. If you have a CRM already, like AccuLinks or Job Nimbus or anything like that, those are not the platforms for this. These are for internal, like we use specifically Monday. That is for really internal objectives for the organization. So if I want to roll out a new technology, I'm going to be able to line out due dates for everything, like a completion date, what has to happen for the next step to happen, all the way from start to completion of that implementation. So whether that be, if I'm, say, for instance, I'm rolling a company cam-like product out, then I'm going to need to, have a meeting with the project managers to show them how to use it. Delegate an implementer from that team that is basically the ambassador of that platform or whatever it is that you're implementing. And then just roll that all the way out till literally the last thing on the list, which is like, it's fully functional. So as contractors, we all know about most of us know about critical paths, and knowing in order to get a project done, you got to be from A to Z. Well, do the same thing, but just do it internally and build that project map.
I really like that parallel, between the type of business that you run and the nature of the work that you do, and this idea of a critical path. If you are building homes, for example, you're already pretty good at this. You're just not applying the same part of your brain that you do to your customer's project that you are to your own internal projects. And I think we're probably better at this than we think we are. We just often overcomplicate it or get intimidated, what have you. So yeah, no, that's great, man. Listen, shifting gears. So you mentioned this earlier. In 2022, you really tragically lost your wife, Laura, and I, it's sensitive subject matter, but I wondered if you would share that story with us, and tell us what happened, and then I do have a few kind of follow-up questions after that.
Yeah, man. You're right. It's a tough subject, but I think that if anybody needs to know anything, we're all human. And it really goes into the fact of, we can be these big, strong men and women and, be seen as this leader and this influencer. And, but at the end of the day, we're all the same, man. We all bleed the same blood. In 2019, Laura, she had just turned 35 years old. She was diagnosed with very, very early stage 1A breast cancer. Nothing. I mean, of course, you say cancer, you know that it's serious. But at the time, it was like, hey, look, you're going to have to go through some treatments. Everything's going to be fine. You got it really early. You got really lucky. And so we were like, great. So she went through the chemos, went through a small surgery, didn't have to have a double mastectomy or anything, but, she, at the end of the treatment, went and got all of her tests, her blood work, completely perfect, completely clean, absolutely like best result ever. Fast forward 3 months, she goes in for just a follow-up, and they had found some spots on her liver that they thought were just benign. They called them hemangiomas. Like they were like, those usually you're born with them, just kind of some liver, some small spots, benign tumors. And she was like, they were like, come back in 3 months, do it again. We came back in 3 months and they were bigger and then bigger and then bigger. Went through a year and a half of additional chemo treatments, and it's just crazy to realize how quick something can take over at the drop of a hat, man. It felt like from the day we went back or the day we got those results of everything's clear to the day that she couldn't get out of bed, it felt like 6 weeks, man. And it was really tough. It was, at the end of the day, we thought there was going to be a treatment that got it. But it was just so aggressive, and it just got so crazy. So she passed on Thanksgiving night in 2022, at home with me. And, yeah, it was tough, but, the organization would not be here today, in the same way that it is if it weren't for the people here. When I naturally needed some time out, like immediately following that, and everybody gave that to me, just like just like I would have for them. So it made me realize, like, at that point, like, and like what I was saying earlier, time is finite. Like, you don't know what you have until it's gone. And it can go very quickly. So, it was a tough time in life, and, it eventually made me stronger and stronger. And I know that she's every day sitting with me, making sure I'm doing the right thing, and probably yelling at me for a few things too. But, it's life. And,
Man, I'm so sorry that happened to you. And I know that seems, those are just words, but I really am. And, I wonder if you have advice for people in similar situations. I mean, there's nothing that's sort of an exact replicate, but life kind of has a tendency of interrupting the sort of well-laid plans that we had. If there's a contractor out there listening whose wife or husband is sick or dying, just lost a parent, or lost a kid, this stuff is a part of the fabric of being a human being. How did you get through that time personally? And what would be your advice for someone now going through their version of that now?
Take the time that you need. If your business can't support it, be proactive. Try if you can afford it now, to be proactive and build the systems that you need so the business can run itself if something ever happens. Have essentially an insurance policy, because not a actual insurance policy, but have yourself build a system that will keep everything running while you need to take the mental space and the time away that you're eventually going to need. Nobody can just come right back like nothing happened. There's always going to be something weighing on you. But yeah, if you can, just like I said, be proactive about it and build the systems. If you have the systems, at least they may not be perfect, but at least other people will be able to step in, handle the responsibilities that you're unable to, and yeah, go from there. And BTA has been phenomenal about, on how to build those systems and how to lay them out and train people to use them. So
how do you think that this chapter, which you've graciously shared with us, has changed you, and what do you think it taught you about life and about leadership?
And it taught me that, again, just going back to it, that time is finite, and everybody can feel like you're invincible, and you can feel like, hey, nothing ever bad happens to me. Nothing ever. I'm strong. Even if something did, I can get through it. And you never know until it does. So it taught me specifically about leadership, that the time that you give to people, you're not getting that back. And the time that they give to you, they will never get back. So respect it and understand that their commitment to you means something more than just a paycheck. Again, they'll never get back that time, So
there's a real sense of duty that you have around taking that seriously and honoring that. I mean, you've never struck me as someone who is cavalier about their team. And I think there are a lot of people who are. I don't think that necessarily they look at them as, just as cogs in a machine. But I do think that as leaders become more successful, their businesses grow, their body of work becomes larger, the head count swells, they've had dozens or hundreds of people come in and out of the organization. I think it's quite easy for people to forget that you're dealing with a human story with complex emotions, with their own home life and everything going on in the background. And even if they're not, necessarily a tyrant as a leader, there's an air of, I'm going to say, hubris and forgetfulness that, this person here who's come into the office to crunch numbers on a Saturday so they can get quotes out on time for next week. That's a really honorable thing that they're doing, and it deserves you need to take that very, very seriously, respect that, acknowledge that. Don't forget about that. Reward that when you see it as a leader.
Absolutely. And I think you hit the nail on the head with that, man. It's like this is nothing cavalier that they're giving you. And some people may think that they're coming to work for a paycheck. And those are not the people that you really want part of your team. You want the people that believe in the why and believe in your why and your organization's why. Having that, everybody will dive in those hard moments when they need to, just to help you out. Like I said earlier, nobody wants to help a competitor. So if you've got employees in your organization that are constantly competing and constantly headbutting against each other, whether it be for their own departments or their own, financial gain, you got to solve that problem. And it usually stems from they don't know your why. Mm-hmm. So being very loud as a leader, being very, very clear on what your personal why is and what the organization's why is, that solves all that.
Yeah. And
that makes all the people that you want to be there and that want to be there for you, that just speaks just numerous like words to be able to say that. So
yeah, I think that's a perfect place to bring this in for a landing, Matt. I can't thank you enough for your wisdom and for sharing your story, for the great advice you gave here. If people want to connect with you, what's the best way to do that?
Man, I think really LinkedIn. You can probably find me over there. I'm not on it frequently, but if people do reach out to me, I'm able to reach out. Also, shoot me an email, matt@the5prc.com. So that's 5prc.com. Shoot me an email. shoot me a text, whatever. Look me up in the BTA member directory. It's a widely, very powerful resource. So
I think you'll be getting some texts and some phone calls.
yeah.
Thank you so much for the time today, Matt. Really appreciate you. And I will come down to Nashville and see you soon, I promise.
Awesome, Benji, man. It was great to see you, man. Such an honor to be here with you.
Peace, brother.
Thanks, buddy.
Thanks so much for watching this episode of Contractor Evolution. If you've already subscribed to our channel, consider sharing this episode with another contractor who you think needs to hear it.